Have you ever wondered what goes into making a successful podcast? How do those pros do it? What are their secrets? Welcome to Pod Talk Today, a podcast about podcasting with the podcasters you love. I'm your host, Kim Hayden. Alrighty, welcome. Super excited. Thank you for joining us. We're going to demystify podcasting today. Welcome to the show, Hanna.
Thank you. Beautiful to be here.
I am super excited. Just so you guys know, I have had the opportunity to be on Hanna's show, and she's going to actually pull her show a little bit of the curtain back and give her insight as to her show and what she does and why she does it. So, with no further ado, could you please, Hanna, first share with us who you are, and then share with us what show you host?
Yes, I am the CEO
Oh,
of
sorry.
Boutique.
We'll be editing that. So,
Wrong
all right.
button.
I hit the wrong button. So yes, if you could please share with us.
Yeah, I'm the CEO of the Feminine Marketing Boutique and the host of the Feminine Marketing Show. And I also consider myself an expert vacationer because I do all of these marketing and personal branding things to help other coaches afford themselves freedom. And I've had a show, Kim, I think you were on the Dream Life is Real Life show. So that's also a podcast that's out there that you can find me hosting. But now I'm all focused on our new show, the Feminine Marketing Show.
All right. So you switched gears, and that's one of the beauties around podcasting is the agility.
Yeah.
Can you share with us why you chose to switch from one to the other?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that I get to share this on a platform like this because I think I was facing a lot of the frustrations or the questions that you have as a listener. If you're listening to the show, like I have been you, because the Dream Life is Real Life show was active for over 5 years. We had 300-ish episodes. I did just about every single week an episode. And the reason why I started that was really to get my brand out there. This was in 2017. I had like a Facebook group and a website, and I had really worked my warm network pretty well. And I wanted to start expanding. And I saw the opportunity to like have real conversations with people, but then also leverage their audiences. Because for me as a podcast guest, I feel super sparkly and like, yeah, I'll tell my friends, I'll post this to my feed when I'm a guest. And I wanted to give that gift to other people so that I could be exposed to their audiences. And it worked for 5 years. I mean, I could trace back the clients that I had pre-pandemic. Every single one had some connection to the podcast. They listened, they were referred to it, they knew someone who was on the show. So that was really working. I just got tired because there is a grind of showing up every week and having having guests. Some of them did become clients. And so I took about a 6-month hiatus. I just needed breathing room. I think if you've ever felt burnout or fatigue, you know the power of just setting something down. I gave it a nap. And in that space, I actually also quit social media at about the same time, just to help myself regroup and really prioritize the things that were creating ROI in the business. And again, the podcast still came up as there's a connection to all of our clients here, but I wanted to do it differently. And this also is kind of part of like a rebrand, me stepping more into my full set of gifts. And so we relaunched the rebrand, and we're now calling it the Feminine Marketing Show about a year ago. And the same things are happening. The same sort of relationships are now creating different types of partnerships because we have our business model has changed. Lots changed in that nap. But I would say that this common thread of like always having a way to be building relationships and having conversations inside of the industry, I knew it couldn't totally go away. I knew I couldn't stop, but there have definitely been places, and specifically a year ago, that I had to stop, pause, adjust, and start to show up a bit differently on the show.
I think it's interesting that you also mentioned social media in that. because, and was that during the pandemic there or post pandemic? Because I mean, you actually started this pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
A lot of
Right.
people started theirs during the pandemic because they were
Yeah.
looking for a way
Yeah.
to connect.
Yeah.
What was it about kind of the rebrand, the pulling back from social media, and then restarting? Because we always know that first bit of track when we'll take it in a train analogy, that
Yeah.
first bit of track is where the majority of your energy goes. That once you get that momentum going, and I told
Totally.
burnout, but what is it about social media and podcasting and building your brand as an entrepreneur, a coach, a speaker? Why pull back from social media also?
Yeah, so I did have a paradigm shift, as I think we all did in 2020. I not only got married and sold everything and moved to Mexico. That was part of my paradigm shift. But the other thing is, we actually changed our business model. Pre pandemic, I was a business coach and I was helping coaches with their marketing and their branding in a sort of teaching. Here are the templates. Here's what you need to learn. Here's what you need to become in order to market your business on your own. But my paradigm shift was realizing that that is not what coaches are here for. Their zone of genius is coaching, teaching, speaking. And I felt like I was just putting a round peg in a square hole over and over, like trying to make them marketers. So I decided to do the marketing for them. And we shifted our model from teaching and coaching to done for you services. And that's a very different offer. That's a very different type of coach. That's a very different relationship. And so, again, we are always looking at where energy goes and where there's energy leaks in our business. And with that shift in our business model, by 2021, none of our clients were coming from social media. They were coming from bigger sort of speaking events. They were coming from referrals. I also didn't like have capacity for as many clients. It wasn't like I was trying to fill 100 people into a program. We really became the marketing boutique, the feminine marketing boutique. So I left social media in 2021 for about a year and a half. And in that time, really doubled down on email marketing, joint venture partnerships, some affiliate relationships, and just shifted the model of everything. So that's why it also afforded me a whole lot of mental real estate and sleeping through the night in better ways, because I still had a lot of just like my own personal fear on social media of being judged or being racist or saying something wrong and getting canceled, which also is why, reframing the podcast, it had been much more like about my personal story and what was going on with me. And I knew that just wasn't going to last into like this next era of life and business that I wanted to do. So having a strategy in place. And now we are reemerging to social media and we do have the show back on, but it is so much more strategic. It's less about, can you attack my personal beliefs and how I'm feeling and like what's going on with my mindset, but we are leading with value. We are giving people solutions. We've just, like I said, started to show up differently. And this is just part of like the personal development journey that we're all
Oh,
on as entrepreneurs too, right? One
absolutely.
and the same.
And I want to put out there and remind people, you're not failing when you close one chapter and you move to another. You're actually evolving, and we really need to focus on that. Let's go back. I want to go to the structure of your podcast, the Feminine Marketing Show. How walk me through the structure of that and how you launched that, coming on the tails of another show.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was this like up level in every way. And I was very conscientious about the value and the stardom that I wanted to share on the show. So we took about 6 months and I got together some guests that I was like fangirling. And I had a lot of fear, Kim, about asking people to be on the show when I didn't have stats, right? We were really like relaunching. I didn't want to use the old stats or the old sort of traffic, because that it literally felt like an old pair of pants where I was like, this isn't the same. This isn't the right audience. Like I said, it's a different caliber conversation and audience that we're moving into. So I did really scary things, like reaching out to people that I fangirl on the internet, like Gay Hendricks, the author of The Big Leap, and Laura Belgray, who does copywriting for The Copy Cure, and Marie Forleo and these people who I was just like, oh, why would they care about me? But I secured some really big interviews. And that got me really jazzed. And it got me even more excited to be showing up in this new way, right? So, first, getting those like fangirl people to say, yeah, I would love to share my value, be an expert. And of course, there's a win back that I'm going to be sharing them with my audience. So, getting some of that like brand ethos in place and having other sort of stars or people that I knew my audience would know and like was really key for my momentum. Because when it was just me coming up with the ideas, trying to find the guests, figure out how do they fit into this, like does their story work? I needed to come with more of that front-facing strategy and saying, yeah, Gay Hendricks, Zone of Genius is core to our brand ethos. I want him to be the one here talking about it. And then after that, the other commitment that I made is that every single guest is going to be an ideal client or a strategic partner. Because I was getting a lot of people who had great value, but I was like, again, trying to like fit their story of like childhood trauma into the show that is now totally about marketing. And so I had to become more clear on those conversations that I was going to book. And I decided this is way more than just a 45-minute chit chat. This is a business opportunity. And thinking about everyone who I'm going to book on this podcast being someone that I can do business with. This is the real value I get out of my show. Yes, it's amazing to have raving fans and good reviews and people asking me questions. Will you answer this on the show? I love that. And I love that my community can engage with me that way and know things about me and like what we do that I forget because I recorded that 2 months ago. And I'm so glad you know that now. So it's on that autopilot value, asset for the business. But also I see every single conversation as a business opportunity. So sometimes we get into it on the podcast, like what are you working on? How can we support each other? But I'm always after the recording asking guests, how can I help you? Who are you looking for? Who can I connect you with? Because I've learned that every business is a relationship business. And we can go deep fast on a podcast. And then just like this, Kim, like you and I met, I don't know, years ago on the show. And as soon as you said, I'm doing something new, I was like, I would love to help. Yes, I'm happy to share. And these are the sort of relationships that I'm looking for as a business owner. And the podcast is just a facilitation for that now.
ROI. This is a question everybody is asking. ROI. Can you share with us a little bit, especially because you're being so intentional now?
Yeah.
Can you share with us what your ROI map looks like for this new, basically this new conversation piece, this new front of funnel product?
Yeah. So the first one, I'll be transparent. These folks that I fangirled, people like Gay Hendricks and Laura Belgray, not a huge ROI. Okay. It's great. And they're like, again, stardom and some of that recognition that helped people probably find the show. But it is these solo episodes that I actually share content and tell people what to do that have people emailing me and booking calls. So it's this dance between building those relationships and having that like personal brand, and then also giving the value that people can say, oh, like Hanna taught me that. And remember, this isn't a different space. This isn't a space where people are hiring us to like be part of their team and do things for them. And so they need to hear both that like energy, she's well connected, and she knows what she's doing. And like I said at the beginning of the show, I can still draw a line between every single client we have in our multi-six-figure agency right now to the podcast. They've heard something, they've been referred, they know someone on the show. It's a part of every single sales conversation we have now because people do nose around. Okay, this isn't just like, I found your website, so-and-so said your name, I'm here. No, they do their research and they binge me and they get in my world and they start coming to sales calls with my language saying, hey, you said the feminine marketing funnel. Hey, you said I need to host demonstrations. And that was on autopilot for me, right? So I have to ask my bookkeeper and my spreadsheet girl, like, what is that line? I don't know what language you use for ROI, but I know everyone who's in our world and paying us well has been touched by the podcast, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I don't have to do it, Kim. That's the best thing.
Yeah,
With
exactly.
like blogging and going live and all these other things, it's
It,
like I have a business conversation and it lives on
and
forever.
that's what this
And I
is.
feel good
That's
about
what
it.
people have to realize. Podcasting is an intimate way to have a conversation and while networking at the same time. People
Yeah.
are able to lean into a conversation that you're having either as a solo. Can you share with us real quickly? You did mention solo episodes. A lot of people start with the interview episodes. What
Yep.
kind of work goes in, and how does the audience receive when you do an interview and then you do a solo episode? Can you
Yep.
walk us through that a little bit? Because that's a really great format. And how much time do you have to put in to preparation on a solo episode?
Yes. Okay. That's a great question because there is a strategy between having a big guest and then having value. So I don't track numbers. I have, like I said, people on my team doing that, but I have learned in doing this for enough years that an interview with a big name brings new people to your sidewalk, right? They're
Yeah.
looking at you. You will get more traffic if you have a big name or a big interview. And that's the sort of magnet. And then I always follow big interviews up with a solo episode where it is me talking about one of our core pillars of value. So if you work with a marketing agency, I mean, I run a marketing agency, so we have lots of formats and systems and pillars and spreadsheets. Like we know our
Yep.
brand ethos really well. So we pull one of those key components that we know our ideal clients need to hear from us. And I talk on that. Now, I started out with so I am a copywriter also. And so I started out writing blogs first and foremost because that would help me organize my ideas and I would have a format and then we'd also have the blog and it was like that amazing marketing asset. So that was sort of the flow. I would have a big interview. I'd think, okay, Gay Hendricks has talked about zone of genius. So the next thing I need to talk about is delegating to live in your zone of genius. That's what our clients need to get from Gay Hendricks. Now I'm going to tell them how to do it in their business. So I wrote a blog, How to Delegate. You can go find it on the internet. And then I would record the podcast based on that value. However, it has now been a year and I feel like I'm in it. Like I have had conversations with people who listen to the podcast. I know our offer so well. I know our brand ethos and those pillars. So it's really like, oh, when do you need it by? Okay, I have a week to do it. Maybe it'll be Saturday morning in my PJs that I jump on and I get it done. So, I have had that structure of blogging and editing and having it all organized with all my talking points, but action brings clarity, building this podcasting muscle. I really just know I have a deadline and make it happen. Probably not the most actionable advice, but maybe something that's aspirational to know that you don't have to be super over prepared or robotic or have every single SEO optimized headline in place before you just turn on the mic and share your value.
Absolutely. Progress over perfection. If you wait for perfection, you'll be dead. Period.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
The definition of perfect is complete, finite, nowhere left to go.
Mm.
That is what you should strive for when you hit the grave.
Yeah, I'm not
Everything
today.
else up to there is progress, baby.
Yeah.
Progress. Okay, let's talk aha moment in podcasting, or I wish I would have known.
Yeah. So I spent a lot of years thinking about who was I was receiving all these applications and people want to be on the show and I was just saying yes, and I love storytelling and I love talking to people, so I said yes. And like I said, it was more stressful to think about how does she fit on this show? Like how am I going to massage this intro to be like, and today we're talking about feng shui, like how what and so I started asking myself a really productive business question that you can take to many places of your business. What if this were easy? What if it were easy and that the right guests always came to me? What if this were easy and I never had to go searching? What if this were easy? And so one of the things that we've done now is asked all of our guests, who else do you recommend for this show? Oh,
Brilliant.
so easy. So easy. They just bring them to me now because, if I'm talking to Kim and she's a podcasting pro, I know she's been talking to other people who care about marketing and branding. So who else do you know, Kim, that's a perfect fit for this show? I don't have to go searching, coming up down the internet rabbit hole and asking people. I just have their names right there. There's some warm referral. Hey, Kim referred you to the show. I'd love to explore what we can do. And then the second question we ask when those people are booking is, and this is one of like, I hope I can use this also as like technology because we've
Absolutely.
automated. This is one of my technology tips as well. So when people then go, we invite them to be on the show now, and then they go to a form to book their interview. And of course, there's questions like, what's your bio? What's your headshot? But now we ask them, if this were a master class, what would you name it? Because I want to know what their expertise is. What do they want to teach on? And when I get that master class name, then I can see exactly how it fits into our marketing calendar. I don't have to wait for the show and be like, again, massaging. How does this fit? Where should we plug this in? Kim's here to talk about podcasting. Perfect. Let's cue that in for February. It fits into the plan. I already have that ready. So those are the sort of ahas, and then also the strategies we put into place to just keep making it easy, because this is a lot of work, Kim, right?
Yep.
Like you
Yeah.
can make it as
Yeah,
easy as
exactly.
possible, but
Exactly.
keep asking yourself every step of the way, what if this were easy? What if this were easy? Yeah.
That is, I love that. If this were a master class, what would you call it? That's brilliant. That's brilliant. You're absolutely correct in podcasting. It should be intuitive to you because you're speaking within your zone of genius. However, no matter which way you slice it, a podcast properly put together and fully processed and utilized is a 6-hour journey per episode, right? It is a 6 to 8-hour journey per episode. And if you're not tech intuitive or a great editor, it may take you 10 hours, but it's totally doable. Totally doable.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your favorite tool that you use? What do you use like for processing, like any transcriptions or any shorts or audio clips? What's the one thing that you're like, I love this?
Okay, and this might be a cop out, but my favorite tool is delegation.
Oh,
I show up in my zone of genius. I hit record. I send it to an engineer. He does the tech. That is his
yep.
zone of genius. He even helps me not say and that is amazing. So this is one of the things that I've learned in scaling the business and getting my life back, right? The more that I can delegate, the more that I can ask the question, what if this were easy? The more mental real estate I win back, the more I am able to just show up and flow and be in that feminine energy that I'm very passionate about. So that's my best tool. Maybe it's a cop out, but
No,
there's
it's
so
not a
many
cop out.
people who have that expertise and have that answer for you. I joyfully pay team from the overflow that the podcast has now created to do it for me.
That, and you know what, that delegation is important, especially I believe women entrepreneurs and small business owners. We tend to undervalue our time. So if you don't have a qualified time price on your time, it's really easy to give it away to stuff that frustrates you.
Bingo. And that's
Yeah.
that was expensive for me. And
Yeah.
then I just mentioned that like energy leaks in the business. Wow, when my energy is going to things that are not my zone of genius, like I'd rather be at the dentist than editing a podcast. Like, whoo, I'm not going to stay in business for long if I'm trying to go to the dentist instead of do my work. So yeah, I'm glad that resonates with you. I think it's really true for female entrepreneurs. Yeah.
So in closing, I would like to ask you one final question. You mentioned multiple six figures and scaling, and that is incredible. Just so you guys know, the statistics on over 200,000 a year generated by an entrepreneur is 83% of the people will never hit that.
Oh, wow.
83%. Only 9% will actually hit the seven figures, and you're well on your way. So we're talking about the top 17%. Hanna is operating in the top 17% of business owners. So, in closing, what do you believe is the value of your podcast as part of your business voice?
Yeah, it's priceless at this point. It's like the cornerstone of all the marketing that we do. Like you said, it can create so much other content. We capture my voice. I show up in my zone of genius. I'm here to talk and teach and talk about what I love. And then that gets plugged into all these other strategic formulas that are important to be seen, to be findable. And one of the things that I love about podcasting now is that, yeah, anyone can start. But Kim, you talked about how there is follow through and there is optimizing and there is continuing to show up consistently, that I know I have watched my peers fall by the wayside more and more every year. And to be able to have sort of orchestrated a brand and a marketing model that really just relies on my zone of genius and not me forcing myself to hashtag and blog and like, it's priceless. It's the way we get my voice out. It's the way that we attract people. It's the way that people can fall in love with me while I'm on vacation. And so I really, I've taken breaks, I've reiterated, but I've always come back because it's so key to everything else we're doing, and the ability to scale. It's a very scalable platform. Like you said, once you get some of those nuts and bolts in place, that I get to show up, shine, and it is shared. It feels magical at this point.
Amazing. Thank you, Hanna, for your time today. I just want to reiterate that one of the very old sayings that is out there amongst entrepreneurs, very successful entrepreneurs, and I think even Tony Robbins has said this. Simply put, your net worth is in your network. And this is a great way to network. Thank you, Hanna.
Ditto.